Chapter 10, Transport in Humans and Animals. Okay, I think you have learned this chapter in Form 3 about blood circulatory system, right? So for this topic, we are going to learn more about this blood circulatory system, especially the components of the blood circulatory system. I think you still remember heart, right? Blood vessels and blood. How does the heart pump blood? Before this, you have learned only a simple explanation about how does the heart pump blood. How does the lymphatic system return tissue fluids into the blood circulatory system? So lymphatic system is a new system lah that we are going to learn. Okay, and then what are the health issues related to the human circulatory and lymphatic system? So what is a mechanical heart? Mechanical heart, I think you can Google it first. Later, if I have time, I will explain to you. But I think you can Google it first lah. What is a mechanical heart? Okay. So I'm going to start with the 10.1 types of circulatory system. We have what is the learning outcomes for or learning objective for this 10.1. Okay, we have to know that 10.1.1 justify the necessity of transport system in complex multicellular organism. 10.1.2 identify substances that are transported by the transport system, substances required by a cell and waste products of a cell. 10.1.3 conceptualize types of circulatory system in complex multicellular organisms. Okay, open circulatory system and closed circulatory system. And 10.1.4 compare and contrast. Of course, we have compare and contrast circulatory system in complex multicellular organisms, insects, fish, amphibians, and humans. Okay, so let us move on to the first subtopic here, 10.1. Okay, types of circulatory system. Okay, the necessity for transport systems in complex multicellular organisms. So necessity means why do we need this transport system in the complex multicellular organism? So we are complex. Why? Because we are made up. Complex multicellular organism because we are made up of more than one cells. Okay. So each living cell requires essential substances such as oxygen and nutrients and expels cellular waste products such as carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste. So example of nitrogenous waste is urea. Okay, urea. So we need substance, for example, oxygen, right? Essential substance means substance that we need to do, for example, maybe respiration, cellular respiration. So we need oxygen. Okay, and nutrients for what? For, you still remember we have learned about this assimilation in digestive system, right? We have already learned. And then expels means we have to remove, such as carbon dioxide and urea. Okay, so substance that must be removed, actually it can become poisonous if we keep them in our body too much. So for example, carbon dioxide we can remove by exhalation, right? And urea we can remove it by urination or maybe by sweating. Okay, so this is, you must remember the substance that required. We have substance that required and substance that we have to remove. Okay, in chapter 2, you learn how unicellular organisms such as amoeba species get their essentials and expel waste by diffusion from and to its external surrounding. Unicellular organisms have a small body mass. Therefore, the total surface area to volume ratio TSA over V of the organism is large. Okay? As such, amoeba species does not require a specialized transport system to transport substances in and out of the cell. So let's say we take a look at this diagram. So this is amoeba. So amoeba is only made up of one cell. Okay, so this is not considered as one cell, right? Because you can see here it have a nucleus here. So one cell. Okay, and then actually is the amoeba actually is in the external environment. So let's say if we have the oxygen here and oxygen can directly diffuse into this amoeba, and if you have carbon dioxide here, carbon dioxide can be directly diffused from the amoeba. Okay, because the distance from the external environment, this one, external, this one diagram show the external environment. Okay, it's not too far near, not too far from the cell. The cell is actually inside the external environment. Okay, so the oxygen can just diffuse directly into the amoeba, and this oxygen can be supplied to whole amoeba just by diffusion only. Okay, because they have large total surface area over volume, so a lot of surface area here. So oxygen can diffuse here, oxygen can diffuse here, oxygen can diffuse here. So no problem for the amoeba to get the oxygen by diffusion. Okay, and then what about multicellular organism? Can multicellular organisms obtain all essential substances and expel waste by simple diffusion like unicellular organisms? So the answer should be no. Okay, large complex multicellular organisms cannot obtain essential substances and expel waste by diffusion because their TSA over V is small. The distance between the external environment and the cell is too far for direct substance exchange. So how do complex multicellular organisms get essential substances for their cells? Okay, so from this diagram, you can see that this is external environment is far away from cells. So let's say if you have oxygen here, for example, right? So oxygen, you can the cell here, we have a lot of body cell here. This is all the body cells. Even at the deeper here, also we have body cells. So the TSA over volume is small. Okay, means the surface area is small, right? Compared to this amoeba. So let's say if you have this oxygen here, if oxygen diffuse, maybe it can just supply in this type of cell. Okay, in this the cell here, oxygen diffuse, maybe it can also supply in this type this cell. But what about the below here? There will not get any oxygen. Okay, so that's why substance exchange cannot occur by diffusion because the cells are too far away from the environment. So the cells are too far away from the environment. Okay, so that's why oxygen cannot, the cell cannot get the oxygen by diffusion only. Maybe diffusion can occur, but maybe a certain cell, can get the oxygen directly. What about the cell, inside the body? Okay, because we have a lot of cell, million of cell here, so they all need oxygen, and it's impossible for the oxygen just diffuse into our body to go to the cell. So that's why we need a transport system. So let's say if you have cell, maybe down here, this is a lot of cells. Okay, maybe if you just oxygen just diffuse here, okay, the cell here the cell upper here can get the oxygen, right? What about the below one? So that's why we need a transport system. So maybe vessels like this to go to the cell here and directly can send the oxygen to the cells. You must remember we have million of cells, and all of the cells need oxygen. So diffusion only cannot supply the oxygen to our body. So that's why we need the transport system.